Good afternoon, welcome to another unboxing video by theplayersaid.com. Today we're taking a look at a game called MBT, which is by GMT Games. This is designed by James Day, and this stands for Main Battle Tank. And this is, you can see here, it's a game of tank-to-tank combat on a tactical level in 1987 Germany. And you might think to yourself, there wasn't any combat in 1987, it was the Cold War. Well, this is a hypothetical game of what would happen in the unfortunate event that a shooting war did break out. This is this tactical combined arms game that is based loosely on, well, not loosely. It's I think it's modeled almost exactly off of the Panzer system, that very famous system, which is World War II tanks, and this is much more, at least modern, so to speak. So this is one of those 200 boxes, and you can see this is chock full. This is full to the brim. There's almost no room for anything else. So let's take a look at what we've got here components-wise. So we've got a little bag of dice, and these are 10-siders, and they provide 4 of them. So I'm pretty happy about that. I like it when they give you the dice, especially when they're not D6s that are required for the game. So to start with, this is a big stack of foldable terrain sheets. It looks like there's quite a few of these, and we'll take a look at those here in just a second, fold some of those out. We have the old GMT roll of baggies for all the counters, and there's a lot of counters in this game. This is the crux of the game here. These are unit kind of information charts. So we'll just unwrap some of these. So you've got the iconic M1 Abrams tank, and this has all of the unbelievably detailed statistics and every different bit and piece that you'll use. And I actually don't know what a lot of this stuff is, but you've got all the different types of ammo. So you've got heat rounds, you've got armor-piercing rounds, anti-aircraft rounds that they can use off of secondary weapons. And then you've got different ranges. I mean, there's just so much stuff. You have armor-piercing values. I mean, there's just a ton to do. And all of the information. So, and these are double-sided. So this is the UM1B, and they just different variations. There's just so many of these. There's so many. So you've got all of these, all double-sided. And then, and then there's stacks and stacks more of them. So let's crack open another one. So we've got some Soviet tanks here. I mean, let's just go on and on and on. And then here's some of the cool stuff here. So we have the Apaches. Those are going to be fun. And the old Thunderbolts. Pretty excited about those. You have it's heavy tank support going on. And then I've still got Heinz. There's just so much stuff. So much cool stuff here. Just a ton of stuff. And we'll have, you'll have a few of those out for reference for each, and I'm not going to use all of these all in one game. A whole nother one we have not even going to crack those open. Let me take a look at the charts here, the terrain charts here very quickly. Okay, so this folds down. If you've played the Panzer system, you'll be very familiar with how these look. They're very standard. This is a very functional game map, let's be honest. It might not be the prettiest thing in the whole world, but if you're playing a tactical game, you just want it to be functional. So it looks like we've got cornrows, rough terrain, you've got trees and shrubs here, buildings and roads. It's also very similar, in nature at least, to the Combat Commander. And so you've also got you'll have scatter diagrams, probably be using directional stuff for wind effects, artillery variations, and a given scenario. So you've got, looks like 5 of these terrain cards. In a given scenario, you use any number of these that they tell you, and you'll just kind of set them up next to each other. This is one where you're obviously going to need some kind of plexiglass, because these are a very thick card. They're not paper, so it's hard to flatten them out in that way. But just, oh look, it's completely different. So if you think about the number of combinations, double-sided, between all of those, you're going to end up with a lot of different potential terrains and scenarios, and then you're going to add more and more together. I mean, there's endless possibilities of what you can do with what's just in this box from a terrain standpoint. You'll never get bored with just doing the same old map over and over again. Let me keep one of these out just for the counters here in a little bit. So what else do we have in this box? We've probably covered, that's maybe half of it. So we have here some big player aid cards. There's a ton of different charts here. So you've got different combat results tables, special armor values, armor penetration values versus hits, and there's all the different modifiers for all of those. This is a game that's going to be, there's a basic game, which I'll probably start with, and there's an advanced game that's extremely detailed. Terrain effects chart on the other side, and these are double-sided. Is this the same thing? Nope. Isn't it? Looks like these are the same. So there's two of these. Looks like they're identical. So each player can have one, or you can just have them one each side. Kind of have them out for everyone. You got all the spotting rules. So you'll have this in the... Here's what I love. I love it when a game has this, a printed sequence of play that I can just easily look at and have to get out the rule book. Always a big fan when you have that kind of thing. It just makes play just that more. I just glance over here. That's what I'm going to do. Helps with learning the game. So these are, again, excellent play aid cards. These are for learning the game. This is a key for each one of these different types of unit cards. So this tells you in a bit more detail what all of the different acronyms and bits and pieces are, and a lot of what the symbology is, and other references of where to go and look for those rules as well. And there's 3 of these. So you have some other, this will be for tracking turns, units, hidden bits and pieces as well. But there's so much good stuff to help you learn and pick this game up. Very excited. So here's the good stuff. Here's the counters. So we get this first sheet, we got a lot of US units, because this is primarily US versus Soviet. And now GMT is coming out with 2 expansions. You'll have the British and the West Germans as well. So here's a look. Those popped out of that really easily. You'll need counter clippers to round the corners if that's something you're into. And size-wise, these are good. I want to say these are maybe 1-inch counters, maybe not quite there. So I'm going to put these on the board here for you so you can see. They're actually a little bit bigger than the hexes themselves. So you might get into some clustering issues if you've got a lot of stuff kind of bundled up. But then I ask myself, is that exactly the kind of thing I'm going to be trying to do in this game? If in my mind, tank games are a bit more expansive, and I've got my 4 or 5 tanks, and I'm, with range and stuff, I'm going to be kind of spreading them out and creating fields of fire. So that might, I don't know how much of an issue that's going to be with them cramming up like that. So that was just, so this is primarily Soviet stuff here. You can see, very functional. So you got the name of it, and that's pretty much it, right? Because, as you remember, all of the details are on here. So you don't have your traditional counters that you'd have in a war game where you've got movement value, attack value, defense value, and like a command thing. Most of it is just, this is what the unit is. You've got a reference card off the board to tell you all of the details, because there's more details for each of these than you could possibly put on a small counter. So here we've got some of the squads. So there's troops in the game as well. These are actually really neat. I actually really like those counters for the squads. I think the artwork on those is really cool. And they've really gone for different, they've gone for very accurate weapon loadouts and uniforms here as well. And you've got heavy weapons teams, machine gun teams, and then you've got regular rifle squads as well. You've got some counters. Look, here's all these air units as well. That's what I'm excited to whip out the air units and do tank busting. I think that's going to hopefully be really fun. Here we've got the much smaller counters. I'm going to pop a couple of these out. Got move and fire counters, Overwatch counters, all the kind of bookkeeping counters that you'd expect in a game like this. So you've got, here's your Abrams tank. You know, it's got move marker on him, or command marker, so you can see the counter underneath it, so if you really need to, you're like, okay, this is the Abrams, boop, it's still easy to see. Some games suffer from, you know, the bookkeeping counters are the same size as the regular ones, and you just have to, like, go through the stack every time, and I can't tell you how much I dislike that. I don't have the fat fingers, and I don't have the dexterity to be able to do that very well, so having small bookkeeping counters on large counters helps me with that. Again, more of that. BU, is that blown up? Oh, I really hope that's blown up counters. KO knocked out counters, track counters, all of the different. So you got a bunch of block terrains, rubble, mines, a lot of different counters here. Even more counters, and I honestly don't know what a lot of these even are. So you've got hesitation, move, fire counters. You got NATO and Soviet markers here. But again, these are very typical GMT. They pop out really well to be they pull apart and pop well. I'm going to clip the corners of these, so I've got one heck of a task in front of me, but they seem to be... I'm not ripping the counters apart, pulling them out. So, all that's left in this box, all that's left. So we have the Playbook. Great artwork from the front of the box, reproduced. This Playbook is huge. It's 52 pages. That's what I like to see. And so the Playbook goes through, alright, what's in the Playbook? So you got, this has all the scenarios in it as well. Kind of goes through what a scenario looks like, all the different bits and pieces. Wow, okay. All the different units. This is organization. Unit summary charts. And then we start getting into scenario 1 here. Tells you all the units you need, winning conditions, all the different setup, and any special rules that you've got. You get some great artwork here that they put in here as well. So this one's Clash on a Czech border. And these are 27th of September, 29th of September. These are all chronological. So you're almost playing it like a campaign, really, if you wanted to do that. And you can just pick and choose if you didn't want to do that. Yeah, it goes all the way through October. And some of these have more or less kind of infantry units versus tanks, tanks versus infantry. So you can kind of look through and say, oh, I want to do that. So you look here, this one's going to use 4 different of those charts, and they align them in different ways. And that's just a wealth of different things that you can do with the game. And you have a summary chart on the back here. That's very nice as well. And that's just the Playbook. So, rulebook. Again, really, really great artwork. You know, they just do an excellent job production value-wise. So, terrain key on the back. Always happy about that. And I'll be keeping that handy, I think. Everything's itemized. So this is just the basic rules. Basic rules, outside of the index, about 22 pages. So that, for a war game of this complexity, not terrible. Because obviously they're going to shave off a lot of the deeper, darker bits and pieces. They're very crunchy bits. Lots of examples. Everything seems to be organized well. This is actually, just looking at this, height examples and showing elevation changes. Thank you for doing that. Just to eliminate any lack of clarity that you can get. And elevation is something that we struggled with, the way that rules are written. In Combat Commander, we had to really read through that a few times because there's blind spots created by certain terrains, and then others there's not, and what that looks like from different other higher elevations. So these examples will be very helpful for clarifying those kind of things. I really like that when they show you stuff like that. Again, huge glossary, and then there's an index. So that's just the base rules, and then the advanced game rules. This is 72 pages. This is bigger than both the Playbook, or it's about the same size as the Playbook and the basic rules combined. This is huge. So this is all of the extremely detailed rules where they model as realistically as possible, even down to mortar fire and then all of the factors that go into that. So this is much more for advanced players or people who are really trying to explore every aspect of what a combat situation, had it occurred at this time period with the technology and the different military units they had, would look like. And this is a lot far fewer drawn examples, although again, altitude with the Thunderbolt, that's going to be very, very helpful. Where things could have gotten problematic, they've done that. But this is significantly more dense, just text. So this is going to be a bear to get through the advanced game, but from everything I've heard, it is well worth the learning curve. And that's all of that came in this 2-inch box. So I'm extremely excited to play this, and just to I've never played a game that's set in this kind of a time frame, and just to get to grips with a modern-esque tank battle and what those are going to look like. So that's Main Battle Tank MBT by GMT, and watch out for a review coming real soon on this one. So thank you very much for watching.